Well, hey there, Roe Realty Rockstars. I'm excited today to do a short video tutorial on how to create a highly targeted, customized mailing list in Realist. We did go over this recently in a sales meeting, but I thought it might be useful to have it recorded in case you needed to reference it in the future. Now, full disclosure, MFR MLS does have tons of video tutorials on YouTube. So if you do want to go to YouTube and get more information, if you search MFR MLS University and go to their channel, then what it will pull up is all kinds of videos on all of these things you might have questions on. Now, if you scroll down here to Realist, you can see there are several, and it keeps on going, there are several videos on specifics on Realist. Realist getting started, you've got an hour and 20 minutes. I don't plan to take an hour and 20 minutes to show you how to do a mailing list, but I thought I would go ahead and let you know there's a lot more out there than just my video. So let's get started. If we jump over here to Pro, get logged in, and then come on down and launch Realist. When Realist first launches, what usually comes up first is your quick search with just the address, owner, MLS number, and tax ID. Not very useful for coming up with a targeted mailing list. So instead, what we're going to do is go to My Search, and we're going to select Customize Fields based on search fields that are available in the tax records. Now, some of the things you might use this for, one example would be having a new listing coming up and you want to target potential buyers for that property. So maybe you want to do a mailing list to homeowners who are move-up buyers who live within a certain radius or distance from your listing that maybe bought their home 5 to 7 years ago, and the home might be 20% smaller than the house you're listing. Those people would be ideal move-up candidates. So, great way to target market based on listings. Another possibility in this time we are in right now with no inventory, if you have a buyer who has their heart set on a 3-2 in a particular neighborhood and there's nothing for sale, you actually can go into Realist, target owners who currently own in that neighborhood, drill all the way down to people who own a 3-2 within a certain square footage range, and send a customized mailer saying, hey, this is my buyer, Joe and Mary Smith. They're really interested in buying in this neighborhood. If you've been considering selling, give me a call. So again, lots of great uses for this. Let's go into the meat and potatoes here and see how to set up this customized search. We're going to start with these 5 fields right here. This is creating a new search. This is where you'll go to save the searches that you've done in the past. The nice thing is, once you set this up and you have all of these fields created, you can save it so you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. Also, if you're doing different types of searches, say farming might be one type of search, but then you have a separate search for looking for move-up buyers, you could save multiple searches. This is your Save button where you'll save the search. Here's your Clear the Search grid. This is not going to delete your search, but it'll empty anything you've entered in. So if you have a zip code, it'll clear that out. And then this is where you can find searches you've used recently. Another field that you can use to search is your map search over here. Just like MLS, if you wanted to target for your mailing list a certain geographic area, you can zoom in on the map, select your drawing tool, again just like MLS. Maybe you want to do a radius around your listing, maybe you want to do a rectangle with certain streets. Just like MLS, you can draw that and create your mailing list based on the geography. So what I'm going to show you is the mailing list, or the search list that I use the most often. Again, this is really customizable, so depending on what you are searching for, you may add or take away certain fields. But what we're going to do is go in and create a brand new search. Do not need to save. Right here, we're in the Show All field, and this is showing you every single field in the tax records that you potentially could search by. You can narrow down this information to just the owner, just the location. If you do Show All, it's going to include all of these at the same time. So here's the ones that I use. The first one I use is land use. Land use lets you separate out condos from single-family homes, from townhomes, mobile homes. You can select only a certain type of property. The next one that I use all the time is owner-occupied. You can determine if you want to mail to, say, first-time home buyers. Maybe you want to mail to tenants who are potential buyers for your property if you've got a great first-time home buyer property. So you can elect to mail to homes that are not occupied by the owner. On the flip side, maybe you want to target the landlords. We've done both. The next ones that I use are neighborhood and subdivision. For a little more detail on how to use the subdivision search, go to that YouTube channel from MFR MLS. There's a good video on searching for subdivisions. A couple more. I use the property zip code, might be one we search by. Living square footage. If you're looking for somebody who's outgrown their home, you want to know what size their house is, so you can try to sell them yours. Some other fields, you've got bedrooms and bathrooms. These aren't fields we're always going to search for, but it's nice to have them available on my customized grid. Another one might be year built. I have year built on my search. You could even search for a property that has a pool. Maybe you want people who don't have a pool, who are looking for a pool, or vice versa. The big one to use in our area, down here I have site influence. This is fabulous because this is actually dealing with the land characteristics, so you can search for waterfront, gulf front, intracoastal, canal. This also includes golf courses, so great field to use here in Pinellas County. Another one that might be helpful is just market value. A little more accurate than the tax assessed value. It's not going to be perfect, but if you're, again, targeting a move-up buyer, maybe you look for somebody whose house is valued at a certain amount and they're looking to move up. Last one that I have on my search is last market sale. This is really important if you are looking for buyers or sellers. If somebody just bought their house 2 months ago, save yourself a stamp. They're probably not ready to move. Now, if you're farming an area, and this is an area you're going to target every month for the foreseeable future, you may not care. But if you're looking for a specific buyer or specific seller, again, you might want to save a stamp. So once you have all of your criteria in here, you can change the order. If you want to move this up to the top, you can. So this is customizable also. When you click Save, it's going to ask you if you want to save the form where all the fields are blank, or in the future you're going to have the option to save the search with the forms already filled in. This would be really useful if you're doing farming, where you know you're always going to be sending it to the same group of people. So you do have the option either way to save a blank form or a filled in form. I will save this as my test form. So here we go. You can see that I have all the fields that I just selected. If you don't like the way it turned out and you want to edit, maybe I'm going to add a field. Let's say I wanted to search for MLS status. That's another one you can use. So we can look for, where is it here, MLS status. We can add that to our search. And now go ahead and apply. And then you want to go over here again and save that search under the same name. So now you've added that field and it'll show up next time you go to your test form. So I'm going to pretend like I'm looking for a move-up buyer for my house. My target buyer is going to be somebody who is an owner-occupant, so they own their current home, probably live close to my zip code. A lot of the folks around here may have a family and want to go to the same schools. Maybe they're in a house that's a little bit smaller that they have outgrown, that they're ready to move up. So maybe 16 to 1900. I'm not going to worry too much about the just market value, bedrooms and bathrooms right now, but what I do want to include is when they bought the house. So last market sale, I'm going to include anyone from 2006 to 2009. Now do be careful with this, because if I'm targeting somebody who bought their home in 2006, that person actually might be break even on their equity. Whereas the person who bought in 2009 has accumulated quite a bit of equity because they bought right in the bottom. So some things you might want to consider as you're thinking about this is, what was the market doing at that time? It might be a better strategy to target folks who bought their homes in 2009, 10, and 11, even though that's a little sooner in the usual real estate cycle, because those folks have built up a ton of equity in a short period of time. So just some things to consider. So with those search criteria, if I go on in here and see, hopefully I can find some buyers for my house. Now if it comes up with too many, you go in here and narrow down your criteria. If it comes up with too few, obviously you can widen your search a little bit. At this point I've got 66 people. So this is going to depend on your budget and on your reach and what you're trying to do. We'll go ahead and take our 66. Now from here, I have 66 people who are potential move-up buyers for my home. I could just go right here to create the labels, or I can export it with a customized grid and use that data in different ways. So just like I can customize all of the fields over here when I created the search, I can do the same thing with the results, and I can customize the data on the back end. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and export, and I'm not going to export the grid. If you hit grid, it's going to give you all the fields that you see listed here, which I'm not really interested in all of that. So instead, I'm going to customize, and this is what it's going to export to Excel. Again, our purpose here is to do mailing labels, but there's a lot of other uses for this. Let's say you're targeting one condo building. You could actually go into the tax records and export a list showing you when the last market sale was for every single unit. You can find out when they all sold, what the price was. Lots and lots of different options here. For my purpose of the mailing list, just like you can save several searches, you can also save several export grids. So you can save different ways that you want to get the data once you get your results. Here's a couple examples I use for mailing lists. Tenant mail to the property. This is one where I'm looking for an owner-occupant buyer, or a first-time home buyer who is not an owner-occupant. So in this case, what I'm going to export out of my results is the address, city, state, and zip. And in this case, I have the MLS status. That would be just in case maybe they just leased the house yesterday. Not much point in considering them as a first-time home buyer tomorrow. You notice this does not have the name on it. If I'm mailing to the tenant, I don't want to put the owner's name on it. So in this case, we'll leave that blank. I have another list, owner-occupant mail to property. This might be more appropriate for the search that we just did, which would be a move-up buyer. I'm looking for people who are potentially move-up buyers. So now I have the owner's name, address, city, state, zip, and again, MLS status. My move-up buyer is not going to have a sign in their yard. Well, no, they might. Okay, we'll scratch that. Anyway, there's different reasons where you might not want the MLS. We might want to know what the MLS status is. Mailing list for condo owners. We use this for the Roe report quite a bit. We use the mailing address, zip, city, and state, as well as the country, because a lot of our owner-occupants, or our snowbirds, don't live in the United States. So again, customizable. You select your fields, you select the order that you want them in, and then you can save the search. In my case, we're going to go ahead and take our owner-occupants mail to the property. We're going to export that list, and it's going to give us a nice Excel spreadsheet with that information. Now when you open this up, there we have it, my 66 potential move-up buyers. I have the owner's name, address, city, state, and zip. I do have this MLS status in here. I can go ahead and delete that. I don't need it for this particular search. I probably need to delete it from my saved export grid. So if you are using a mail service, you can just save this form exactly as it is and send it. If you're having Vistaprint mail, Express Copy mail, our mailing service, this is the list exactly in this form that you want to send to your mailing service. If you're going to print the labels yourself, go ahead and save it, and then this is the list you're going to use for your mail merge. You can go into Microsoft Word and create labels using a mail merge. I'm not going to do that for you at this time and show you how to do a mail merge. There is a great tutorial here on YouTube on how to do a mail merge. It's a 8-minute video, and I'll put this up at the end of the tutorial so you have it and can find it. But he walks you through it. It's very easy to do, a good skill to have. But that's pretty much it. That's what we do to go in and find a highly targeted mailing list in Realist. You can, instead of having to do every door direct, where half the people that you're mailing may not actually be potential clients, you can get hyper-focused, hyper-targeted, and pick just those 66 people who are the most likely candidates to buy your home. So I hope that was helpful. I look forward to seeing you all in the future.